podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on Sunday, January 3rd, 2021, the 17th anniversary of the very first Tech Guy show back in 2004. It kind of makes sense because this is episode 1759. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Simply Safe. Get simple, professional monitoring day and night. Right now, get a free home security camera when you purchase a Simply Safe system at simplysafe.com/twit. By the way, you'll also get a 60-day risk-free trial. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smartphones and smartwatches. You know, all that jazz, all the gizmos and gadgets surrounding us all the time in our lives now. It really has crept up on us, hasn't it? You know? Went from just like, oh, maybe I have a personal computer. Ooh, you're fancy. Yes, come see my Apple II. Ooh, you're fancy. To, there's a computer in every darn thing in the house. Well, good for me, right? I'm the tech guy. This is the place to go if you want to understand it better. If you have problems with it, you want to get an idea of what's happening in the world of technology. It's a conversation, and the phone number, if you want to join, is 8888-ASK-LEO, 888-827-5536. It's toll-free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, use Skype, and you still can call for free. 8888-ASK-LEO. Now, as you listen and hear things on the show, you may say, oh, I'd like to remember that, or, oh, I got to keep track of that, or, Leo, you're wrong, and I have a better idea, that kind of thing. All of that you can handle at the website. We set this up so that it's always there for you, for searching, for reference, and for comments, too. If you want to yell at me, you could do that in the comments there. It's the website is techguylabs.com. It's me, the tech guy, in my labs. I'm wearing a lab coat, goggles. I've got Bunsen burners and beakers. Tech Guy Labs. It's more than one. Well, there's two. They're right next to each other. techguylabs.com. It's a two-room lab. Two-room, one bath. That's free, by the way. Sometimes I know people, I talk about it. People say, oh, yeah, well, how much is that going to cost me? It's not going to cost you anything. You don't even have to sign up or anything. Just wander in. It's like the old days. The old days. This is an anniversary for the show. It was, if you go to techguylabs.com and you go to episode 1, can you even go to, do we have? I think we do. There's 1,759 episodes now. But if you go to techguylabs.com and go to episode 1, you'll find that episode was aired on January 3rd, 2004. 17 years ago. Holy cow. Thank you. I didn't play that. That's Professor Laura at the keyboard. She said, I'm going to load up the children cheering. Okay, good. 17 years old, this show is. Wow. That's a long time, especially for a show that deals with something so, modern, cutting edge as tech. I mean, if it were a gardening show, actually, in a way, gardening show 17 years would be a lot longer, because how long can you talk about hummus? And it doesn't, humus? Oh, well, there you go. Hummus is something else. How long can you talk about dirt? It doesn't change. Gardening, the technology, it's changed a little, but it's the technology that's changed, right? And that's what this show is all about. And I have to say, if you go back and listen to that episode 1, it's changed a lot. We had the internet. We weren't savages. We even had personal computers, but we had cell phones. But in 2004, the cell phone wasn't anything to write home about. I mean, I had a fancy BlackBerry. Oh, it had a keyboard. You could type in messages instead of having to go A, B, C, D, E, F, comma, that kind of thing. Remember doing that in text messages? No wonder text messaging didn't take on in the United States. It's never caught on because nobody would do it because it was so hard. Kids were good. You'd see these little thumbs going. They're not kids anymore. Those kids are in their 30s now. You see their little thumbs going, and they could type these texts very quickly. T9 was the technology, they called that, T9. But once they had real keyboards, now you could type messages and stuff. You could do email. BlackBerry was the first for that. Ooh, that was exciting. Remember I had a, what was that? A Sidekick. Remember that? The screen, you'd flip it, and it would kind of go whoop, and there'd be a keyboard underneath, and then you'd whoop it back down. The state of the art in cell phones was not, we had something called the Wireless Access Protocol, special pages on the web designed for mobile access, because none of the browsers built into these little doohickeys could do anything. They couldn't render a real web page, and this was back when the web was pretty simple. No Flash. Well, we had Flash, but no Flash on your phone. Fast forward, a couple of years later, the iPhone came out. The world changed. The iPhone really was a kind of landmark moment in technology. Suddenly, you had a powerful phone in your pocket. It was always connected to the internet. You're carrying it around with you all the time. It had GPS built in, microphone, camera. Speakers. This is an amazing thing, this phone in our pocket. That wasn't around when this show started. We talk a lot more about smartphones and internet than we did then. A little less about desktop computing. That's kind of, it's not obsolete, but it's less interesting. CDs, we were buying CDs in 2004, not anymore. Although I saw a surprising statistic for 2020. 2020 is such an unusual year because of the quarantine. The sales of books, printed books, was up 8% in 2020. What else are you going to do? Read a book. You're home, read a book. Publishers had a huge year. E-books and audiobooks also up. It was kind of amazing. Audiobook revenue up 17% between 2019 and 2020. E-book sales, which have been going down. E-books, that was the hot thing. Remember that, the Kindle and the e-book and all that? And it was very hot for a while, but it actually been going down for the last several years, e-book sales. They're up 16% in 2020. It's kind of amazing. That's one thing about 2020 is it's such an unusual year in the march of years, in the kind of the steady progress of technology. Everything changed a little bit, and I think it will change kind of permanently. I have a feeling. that we're gonna look back at 2020, besides all the obvious things, and say, yeah, boy, that's when people start buying books again. I don't know if that's going to continue. It's when streaming took off. Holy cow, was this a good year for streaming companies like Netflix? Oh, boy. Everybody subscribed. I think 50% increase in subscriptions to streaming services. Very big. And that's one thing that's a change that I don't think is going to go back. You might stop buying hardcover books, but I have a feeling once you get used to, watching stuff over the internet, and you have enough internet to do it, and of course people are also upgrading their internet and spending more on their internet. Wall Street Journal had an article that says, forget the streaming wars, pandemic-stricken 2020 lifted Netflix and others 50% more subscribers overall. 50% higher than in 2019. So if you hadn't subscribed yet to a streaming service, chances are you might have for the first time this year. Netflix was up. I think partly it's also because people who just had Netflix last year in 2019 added more services, right? They kept Netflix and then they added maybe Prime Video, which is the number 2 service, Amazon's Prime Video, then Hulu, CBS All Access, Showtime. Disney Plus, big success out of nowhere. You know, they launched at the end of 2019 and grew phenomenally. Apple TV Plus, not quite so much. But Disney has a lot of stuff, right? A lot of content that people want to watch. Now, we'll see. According to the Journal, about a year ago, Americans told their Harris Poll survey that they were willing to subscribe to an average of 3.6 streaming services. How about you? How many streaming services do you subscribe to? And of course, when budgets aren't infinite, so when you do that, what do you cut up? You might cut back pay TV providers, cable and satellite. They've lost more than 1 million customers every quarter since mid-2018. So I think there's shifts that changes like work from home that, we'll probably go back to going to work, a lot of us. But maybe people got the idea you could do it and it might work, and employers might be open to that idea more. And we employees might be kind of more open to that idea more. Then there's stuff like buying hardcover books is probably going to revert back to the norm. I don't think all of a sudden people are going to say, boy, I really enjoyed that year of reading hardcover books. I'm going to keep doing that. Maybe they will. I don't know. And then there's stuff like streaming that's never going to go back. That's a complete change. Something that was coming, but the pandemic hastened it. That's why 17 years, I never get bored with this stuff. It's always interesting. I hope you don't. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. I'll try to keep it interesting. 888-827-5536. Help me celebrate the 17th anniversary of the Tech Guy Show today. Website techguylabs.com. We'll go to your phone calls in just a little bit. We'll check in with Kim Schaffer, see what's going on in her world. So I was actually going to say no, but Dr. Mom says she could do it. The beacons, first of all, the new Eros don't have Ethernet ports. The original Eros did. But I always thought that those Ethernet ports, well, actually, I guess it doesn't matter. Yeah, I guess they're in or out. I think the Eero planned those to be Ethernet-supported remote Wi-Fi access points. So if you have hardwired Ethernet, for instance, you can plug it in to the Eero and get even better performance. And that's certainly one use. But yeah, I guess it makes sense. If you're not doing that, so you've got that Ethernet port free, you should be able to plug into it. But in effect, that's making your NAS a Wi-Fi NAS, which is probably, maybe all right. It's going to, it's always better to have a network attached storage plugged into your router, but I got it. You can't do that, or it's hard to get around. And so ideally, when you set up a NAS, you connect it directly to the router. But failing that, plugging it into the beacon, if you've got an Ethernet port on your beacon, fine. Yeah, it'll work. Yeah, you have to, because they eliminated that capability in subsequent beacons. Although I wonder, maybe the newer Eero Pro models have it. Yeah, see, that's the ideal way to do it, Dr. Mom. And that was I believe the intent with the Eero was that you would use those beacons with Ethernet ports to connect them to the hardwired network, meaning they have a wired backhaul. The whole issue with these extenders or mesh network secondary access points is the backhaul. How do you get the data from the router to the beacons? And mesh systems have their own private backhaul, so they don't impact the overall performance. But you still have to have a backhaul. And so wired backhaul would be better than a wireless backhaul, theoretically. So, Dr. Mom, if you're doing that, then you can't use the port. How do you use the Synology wired into a beacon? So not every beacon is connected to your in-wall Cat5. Well, I saw Sunseeker in there about 8 a.m. I didn't see it till like 9:30, so it was too late to respond. But I thought, oh, good, he'll come back, so that's good. Yeah, the Orbi has a very good backhaul. They reserve a 5 gig channel just for the backhaul. You can't use it for your data. Oh, they are. They are strong as HE double hockey sticks. And here she is, ladies and gentlemen, the unbreakable phone angel. Anchor angel. Kimmy Schaffer. Hi, Kimmy.
Hello. How are you?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year again. We're in, what, day 3 now?
Yeah.
Do you feel any different?
The honeymoon's over. For a while, I thought 2021 is going to be a good year. But then I realized, no, it's the same pretty much. It's the same
it
year.
feels the same so far.
It's the same year. It's 2020.
Just extended.
One. W-O-N.
W-O-N.
Yeah. No, it's going to be, you know what?
It'll
Of course, we don't know what's going to turn out. Yeah, we don't know. Any more than we knew in January 2020.
We
what
didn't
was
know
coming
what was
down
in store.
the pike. But I'm going to choose to be optimistic and think that it's all going to turn around this year. And everybody's going to be able to get out there and enjoy the world. And
I think we would have all hibernated like bears if we knew it was coming our way last year.
we just, when we started quarantining in March, if somebody said, well, you'll still be quarantining next March, I would have gone, oh, no.
Yeah, no.
But what are you going to do? You can't.
I don't know.
You can't. There's nothing. You can't give up. You can't. I guess you go to the bars and drink, but that's not.
No, you can't because they're not open.
Not here. No, we don't have anything. You can't even do outdoor dining.
I know.
In our area.
I'm kind of annoyed by that, actually. That's outdoors. It's not indoors. I have my, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not a naysayer, but it's outdoors. I think outdoors is much more safe than indoors. Whatever.
Let's not think about that. Let's pretend everything's normal.
Let's talk to somebody who wants to. He's got a cool story. I'll let him tell it. John in Palo Verde, line 2.
It's his story to tell.
Yes, it is his story to tell.
Thank you, Kim. Hello, John. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. My mother, she was born deaf, and she didn't realize it till she was 13 when she and her sister were walking up a hill in San Francisco, and her sister said, we've got to cross the street, the cable car's coming. And she said, how do you know the cable car's coming? And that's when she was told that she was different from everyone.
Is she profoundly deaf or just hard of hearing?
No, she was born completely deaf.
That's wild. And she didn't realize it till she was 13.
Well, her parents weren't, on the ball, or they refused to accept the fact that they had a deaf child. So they sent her to regular school.
Wow. And she just became very adept at lip reading, I guess.
She could speak as well as you or I.
Yeah.
And her lip reading was just incredible.
So maybe a lot of people around her didn't even know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't know unless you were talking to her and she wasn't facing you.
Right.
And you would think, wow, she's not listening to me.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's an incredible story. But so in 1956, she appeared on a TV program. It was called Queen for a Day, and they would have 3 women come up. And
they would tell a sob story, and then whoever had the worst story
would get what they requested.
Would get a refrigerator.
Exactly.
That was the weirdest show, Queen for a Day.
Oh, you remember it?
Oh, yeah. She was on Queen for a Day.
She was on Queen for a Day.
Good for her.
And she said she wanted a device that would light up in the rooms to let her know when her twin babies were crying, I of which was the twins. And she won. And
don't get now. You're getting a little choked up.
She has I have a red vinyl album.
You have a record of it?
Yes.
So she was on the radio show or was she on the TV show?
I believe she was on I can't remember.
Anyway, okay, but you do have audio. What a wonderful thing. Now, treat that carefully.
Yeah, I have it, but my sister asked to borrow it.
No.
Cut that thing.
No, don't lend it out. What you want to do is digitize it now.
Well, see, that's the thing. I'm not really tech savvy. What I was hoping you could recommend is a turntable.
Yeah. There's a company
to a CD.
Yes, there's a company. Us old timers may remember the name Crosley. Remember the old Crosley radios?
No.
Well, it's an old name. I don't know if it's the same company as the original Crosley radios, but they make turntables with USB built in, with Bluetooth built in. They even make some with a CD burner built in. So,
that's what I needed.
Yeah, so you could play it. Now be very careful and clean it and play it back and digitize it and then lock it up because, that's probably going to be very fragile.
You know, the problem is I'm not very tech savvy. That train passed me a long time ago.
Yeah.
I'm lucky I can turn my smart TV on because it's actually smarter than I am. So the minimal computer interaction between me and this device.
So here's the deal. If you go onto Amazon and you search for LP to CD, you will see a company called Victrola, no doubt not the original. Boytone, there's as little as $100. They have CD burners. You play it back. You record it all in one unit. You don't even need a computer. This is what you need. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You can do it to cassette. ION makes them. They've been around a long time. But if you look on Amazon, you'll see a number of them that have built-in CD players. What a story. That's wonderful that you have that vinyl. Yeah, and don't mail it anywhere. Imagine what it would be if you lost it.
Yeah, also, what about skips, pops, and scratches? And most of these kind of mask or cover over those?
Well, so that's the thing. If you get one that doesn't involve a computer, that just takes it from the record to the CD, it's just going to record whatever gets played back. You won't have a whole lot of control over that. But if you wanted to do a cleaner version, there are USB turntables that you then put into your computer. You'll get a digital audio file, which you can clean up.
Maybe my kids can help me with
Your
that.
kids could do that. And man, if that's a recording of Grandma, is she still around?
Oh, no, she passed away some time ago.
Oh, you're lucky. You're so lucky to have that. You're so lucky to have that. What a memory. Wow. And, you know, then you can send everybody a copy in the family.
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, because it's just a digital file. I'm looking at one for $100. Digit Now, Bluetooth record player, turntable with stereo speaker, LP, vinyl to MP3 converter with CD, cassette, so you could put it on a cassette, radio. Actually, this would be good. You'd keep this around anyway. If you're worried about pox, clicks, and hiss and stuff, just make the CD because somebody could take the CD or the digital file and clean it up from that.
Okay.
The real key is to get this digital right away.
Yeah.
Then you've got it. Thank you for sharing your story with us. That's fascinating, John.
Thank you.
Fascinating. And
love your show, by the way.
Thank you. And keep listening.
I will. Thank you.
I appreciate your being here. Thank you.
Bye.
Happy New Year. Hey, Cam Sabohaneg. How you doing?
Hey, Leo.
What a story, huh? Don't show me that Mustang. I don't want to see that Mustang. Get rid of that Mustang.
You don't have yours yet, huh?
No, no one does. I think there's a story there, Sam. I want you to get in on it.
Some.
No. One guy in Texas, in Dallas, who I think was a friend of the dealer or something because the one picture I saw, he's posed with his two other vintage Mustangs. But the Mach-E forums have a form to fill out when you get your delivery. I've been watching on Reddit. As far as I know, 0 have been. He got a Route 1. 0 have been delivered. I think there's a story. And I'm curious what the story is.
I'll be checking in with Ford this week anyway, so I will.
They never got the release to sale thing, I think. And we saw them on carriers. We saw them on transports, so we know they were moving them around.
Yeah, oftentimes, right at the end, they may find a software bug or something, and they're
That's what I think. I think there's a
it.
story. Yeah.
Yeah, some companies actually prefer to try to fix things before they.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Send to customers.
And I'm not in a hurry. Well, I am in a hurry because I only have one car now. But at least I had to drive me to work.
You're not going anywhere anyway. So.
Yeah, that's what Lisa says. She had to drive me to work, though. I feel kind of guilty. I just want it. Yeah. But I'm not, that's fine. If it's not working, I just wonder what's going on,
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably some minor issue that they're trying to tweak. Probably
that's what I guess. Yeah. Did you read the TechCrunch review there was only one negative review in that whole?
Yeah, I read that and
it seemed like an outlier. He also
very much so.
He did not. It looks like do the test drive you did with the production version.
No, he did. He
did?
He was part of that same drive program because Matt Burns is based here in Michigan.
Right.
So he was not there on the same day I was, but
is he pretty
was part of that
reliable?
same program. He doesn't do many car reviews, very rarely.
It felt like he was a Tesla fanboy, and he just didn't want it. But you didn't experience any of that slewing around in the rear. I mean, Mustangs do that.
No, not at all.
Yeah. He said it was very sloppy drive. Yeah. Our show today brought to you, hi-ho, not by the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, but by Simply Safe. It's the home alarm system. You know what? So easy to install, so easy to use. You could put it on your boat. Simply Safe makes home security affordable, simple, and easy. But it also keeps you safe, whether it's from break-ins, fire, flooding, medical emergency. Simply Safe Home Security delivers award-winning 24/7 protection for less than anybody else. Same great protection, much lower price. With Simply Safe, you don't just get an arsenal of cameras and sensors. You get the best professional monitors in the business. And they've got your back night and day, ready to send police, fire, EMTs when you need them most straight to your door. The best part about Simply Safe is you don't have some guy traipsing around your house, drilling holes in your wall. All of the Simply Safe sensors, and if you go to simplysafe.com/twit, you'll see they have a huge range of sensors, everything from water leakage to glass break. They've got cameras, and they're peel and stick. Which is nice because you can take them with you too. So it's great for renters. You could set it up yourself in about 30 minutes, no drilling, nothing. And then the Simply Safe professionals take over, monitoring your home 24/7. A lot of times, alarm systems, false alarms can be a big problem. At some point, it happened at our old studio, the police say, we're not going to answer those anymore because it happens too often. With Simply Safe, those people monitoring can verify that there's a break-in going on and immediately tell police, no, this is not a false alarm, and they will respond. No contract, no hidden fees, no installation costs, and you're going to pay about a third what those other guys charge per month. I mean, it's a significant savings. Right now, you get a free home security camera when you purchase a Simply Safe system at simplysafe.com/twit. In fact, you even get a 60-day risk-free trial, so you can see if this is what you want. I know it is. There's nothing to lose. simplysafe.com/twit. Get that free security camera, your 60-day risk-free trial, simplysafe.com/twit. It's made for your houseboat. Simply Safe. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's time for our car guy, Sam Abuelsamid. He is a principal researcher at Guidehouse Insights and a podcaster of note. His show Wheel Bearings is available at wheelbearings.media. If you're into cars, he's the guy. Sam, Happy New Year, 2021.
Happy New Year, Leo. It is a new year, and figured this would be a good time to maybe take a look ahead at some of the stuff that's coming this year.
Yeah, so the new car year begins in the fall of the year before, right? So, but that's changed a little bit now,
that's kind of
right?
shift.
Yeah,
that's changed a lot over the last 15, 20 years. Now it basically, it can start just about any time. And some manufacturers like Tesla don't even really follow the model years. They don't really have model years as such. They just keep rolling stuff out.
Well, everything Tesla
continuously
does is different, but the traditional car companies even seem to be announcing cars in the middle of the year, and it's interesting how that's changed.
Yeah, it used to be that September 1st was the cutoff date for certification. Anything that launched after September 1st of a year, so after September 1st, 2020 would be a 2021 model year.
Right.
But sometimes they launch stuff early, sometimes it's late. So it's kind of all over the map.
So what are we going to see in 2021? I imagine a few electric vehicles.
Yeah, so the big thing this year is going to be a lot of new electric vehicles coming to market. This is finally the year when we're going to see a whole slate of EVs coming, both from legacy automakers as well as from a lot of newcomers, or at least several newcomers this year and more in 2022. Probably the most notable newcomer this year is going to be Rivian. We've heard a lot about Rivian over the last several years since they went public, or they not publicly traded, but since they came out of stealth mode. And they've gotten a huge amount of investment. They've raised about $5 billion in funding from various investors, including Amazon and Ford and various.
They
others.
make a truck, right? They don't make a car. Yeah.
Right. So they're launching with a pickup truck and an SUV this year. The pickup
they are
truck
going to make
first,
an SUV.
and then
okay.
Yeah, the SUV comes a few months later. So the R1T and the R1S, and they're both very similar. And this is the one that's probably got the most attention of the newcomers that are going to launch this year. Them and Lucid is the other one.
I saw an ad for Lucid over the weekend. Oh, that's a pretty looking vehicle, but it's expensive.
It is a good looking car.
Yeah,
it is. The first ones, for the first year or so, will be the very high end models of the Lucid Air. At some of them, the launch editions, I forget exactly what they're calling theirs, are going to be about $160,000. But by sometime in 2022, they will have a version that'll be down around $75,000. Somewhat more affordable, but still expensive. And they will be bringing more affordable models to market over the next few years.
Should one avoid buying a car from a startup instead of one of the big three?
It depends how much tolerance you have for things going wrong and lack of support and things like that. Especially from companies that don't have an established dealer network that can fix it and get you parts and things like that.
I was really happy with my Tesla Model X. I didn't have a lot of the problems others had, but it made me nervous to know they were having difficulty repairing them because of lack of parts and things like that. It just made me nervous. Plus quality control. Mine was okay, but others had reported all sorts of problems. That just makes me nervous.
Yeah, there's been a lot of issues with Teslas. A lot of people have had great experiences.
I did. I loved it.
But there have been a lot of people that have had a lot of challenges with them.
I loved it, but not enough to buy another one. So that's an interesting.
Yeah. Well, and it's not like legacy automakers are far from perfect as well. I mean, they have issues. They have recalls on a regular basis. But hopefully, those will become less and less. A lot of the recalls from legacy automakers over the years have been to fix software issues, and that's something with these new vehicles that. They won't have to do that anymore because they are going down the over-the-air software update route.
Well, that's the kind of the interesting thing. While you might trust big three automakers and they've got a dealer in your town and all that, they don't have a lot of experience with this kind of new way of thinking about cars as being, updatable computers on wheels. So, they're metal benders. They're probably really good at that. But these startups seem to be more technology companies, and they're really good at that. So it's an interesting trade-off.
Yeah. Well, the truth is that the legacy automakers actually have been doing OTA updates for a long time, but just it's been more limited. It hasn't been like what Tesla does, where they can update every computer in the car.
I would get it updated
They have limited
every couple
their
of weeks. It would be a new update.
Yeah, legacy automakers have limited their OTA updates to things like the infotainment system and navigation. And so now they're expanding that to the rest of the car. And part of the reason why they waited was they redesigned the electrical architecture to make it more reliable and also to build in security to try to minimize the risk of anybody injecting their vehicles with unwanted software.
Yeah, so, there's a security issue, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah, so all of these vehicles are going to have OTA update capability. The Mustang Mach-E, the Nissan Ariya is another EV that's coming this fall. It's another midsize crossover, electric crossover. Volkswagen's going to be launching the ID4 crossover, which is already on sale in Europe, and it'll be launching here in the next month or two.
Seems very popular in Europe. The ID4.
Yeah, they started selling the ID3, which is a hatchback. It looks a lot like a Golf, back in September, and they just launched the ID4, which is similar. It's based on that in December, and so they should be shipping them here early this year. And so there's going to be a lot of choices. For the first time, really, there's going to be a lot of choices in different segments, and especially in segments that are very popular, like crossovers. We've had we've had EVs like the Nissan Leaf, as compact hatchbacks and things like that for a decade now. But that's a market segment that has been shrinking. And everybody's been shifting towards crossovers, which is why all the manufacturers are bringing out electric crossovers now, because that's the most popular segment, and they're bringing them in at a price that's a lot closer to the gasoline equivalents, especially when you factor in the tax incentives that are available.
Yeah. Tesla sold very close to 500,000 vehicles in 2020, which was their goal. Are they the best
Well, that was their
seller?
goal in 2018.
Oh, well, anyway, they made it. 2 years
They were
later.
supposed to sell 1 million this year.
Oh, okay. Oh, well. Still, 500,000's not shabby.
No, I mean that's great. That's huge progress. That's more EVs than anybody's ever sold in 1 year before, and they're continuing to grow. And there's, as I said, there's so many new ones coming to market.
And yet, the
next
market
week.
for EVs seems kind of soft. A lot of people don't want EVs. There's still a lot of reluctance and resistance.
Still, here in the U.S., it's still relatively soft. In Europe, it's a lot stronger. There's a lot more EV sales in
Gas
Europe.
is a lot
and
more
also in
expensive
China.
there. Yeah.
But with all these new models coming to market, there's a lot of hope that some of these are going to start to catch on here in the U.S. market as well.
One of the things Tesla did right is that supercharger network. That's one thing
Yes.
that other electric vehicles are going to suffer by comparison. It's sometimes hard to get a charge. They're not as many as gas stations, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, the rest of the industry is catching up with that as well. With Electrify America, ChargePoint, EVgo, they're all expanding their DC fast charging networks as well as their level 2 charging networks. So we're making progress there.
It's going to be an interesting year. I'm waiting for my Ford all-electric Mustang Mach-E. Hope to get that in the next few weeks. I'll let you know. Sam Abuelsamid, principal researcher, Guidehouse Insights. Listen to his Wheel Bearings podcast at wheelbearings.media. Yeah, ask him when you talk to him. Say, hey, Darren, where's Leo's car? I would feel bad if other people were getting deliveries, but I don't think anybody.
I think there's something that was holding up the okay to buy. And it sounds like
I hope it's minor.
One dealer in Texas, went ahead and sold
That's
it anyway.
what I think.
Which it's funny. It's not the first time that's happened with any model, but particularly with Mustang. The very first regular production Mustang that was ever sold to a consumer in 1964, in April 1964. It was the Mustang was supposed to go on sale April 17th, 1964, when they unveiled it at the New York at the World's Fair in New York.
Yeah.
And the very first one that was sold to a customer was actually 2 days before that in Chicago to a woman whose name, I can't remember her name now, but she had just graduated from Teachers College.
Oh.
And had just gotten a job, and she went into their local Ford dealer where her family had been buying vehicles for many, many years, and said wanted to buy a new car, and didn't like anything that was in the showroom, and the salesman said, "Come on in the back here in the garage," and they had a baby blue convertible sitting back there, and they bought it on site. Said, "Yeah, I want that." That was 2 days before it was supposed to go on sale.
Awesome. That's a car that's the number one.
And she still owns it. She and her husband still own that car.
Oh, yeah. What a story.
They drove it as a daily driver until well into the 1970s, and then it sat in the garage for 20-odd years. And then about 10 years ago, her husband pulled it out, and they went and they did a complete restoration on it. And they brought it to Dearborn in 2013 when they launched the new 50th anniversary Mustang. And
neat.
I've seen it a couple of different times.
Such a great
it's
story.
a gorgeous car. Yeah.
Do you think my dealer actually has his allocation, but he's hiding them?
It's entirely possible.
I have to go over. I'm going to walk over there and snoop around.
Yeah, just take a look around the back of the lot.
I sent him a note,
out there.
And because after you emailed Ford, I got contacted by the head guy at the auto group, and I sent him a note the other day. Said, "Any sign?" He said, "Believe me, I'm as excited about it as you are, but not yet. So I wonder if they've got them delivered and they're just waiting for the telegram from Dearborn.
Gail Wise was the woman who bought that first Mustang.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm dropping a link in there.
If you hear anything from
I got
Ford,
to meet her and her husband.
Drop me a line. I'll keep it under my hat. But
Okay.
I figure it's probably going to be in the next few weeks, right? It's not going to.
Oh yeah. It'll be very, very soon.
Yeah.
Because they're building them and shipping them out from the factory.
They took a Christmas break, so but I think they've started up again. They start up again on Monday. But yeah, they must have built thousands by now. I imagine. I don't know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they have shipped them to Europe. They've landed in Europe, in Norway and a few other European countries. So it should be any day now. And then a week from tomorrow, Mary Barra, the CEO of GM, is going to be delivering the opening keynote for CES, and she's supposed to be making some announcements about some more GM EVs as well.
Ooh, that'll be streaming. Yeah. Well, I'll try to watch that. 4 a.m. though.
Yeah, it'll probably be pretty early your time.
Yeah, it's 4 a.m. our time, so maybe I won't watch the live stream. Sam, thank you. Have a wonderful week. Happy New Year.
You too, Leo, and say hi to everybody.
I will. Take care. Little Eva doing the locomotion. She was, if I remember correctly, I used to be a DJ. So, one of the things you do when you're a DJ, or used to, not anymore, I'm sure, but you would subscribe to these DJ-specific newsletters. And every week they'd send you something, you'd put them in a binder. And it would be things like little bits of trivia. Like, at the age of 15, little Eva moved to Brighton Beach, New York, where she worked as a maid for Carole King. One day, Carole heard her singing as she vacuumed the floor and said, "You should be a singer." Gave her one of Carole King's songs. Carole King and Jerry Goffin wrote The Locomotion for her. And 16-year-old little Eva, whose real name is Eva Narcissus Boyd, became a star. Yeah, I don't subscribe to that thing anymore. Yes, all DJs sound like Casey Kasem. Just like all pilots sound like Chuck Yeager, like the late Chuck Yeager. We'll be flying at 35,000 feet. Please sit back, enjoy. Brett on the line from Lakewood, Washington. Hello, Brett.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I had some issues with my external hard drive. I don't know what's going on with it, but I have like a Plex library that I keep on there.
Nice.
And yeah.
How many shows do you have on that hard drive?
I got like 42 TV shows on there, and I got like probably about like a little over 500 movies on there.
Oh, it's your whole media library.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, you don't want to lose that. I hope you got it backed up.
Yeah, well, I tried to do that. I actually have another external hard drive that I copied all that over to there.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it seems like it's like random files.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I went and checked all those files, and for some reason, there's some files that show up and some that are just the folders are on there, but
it's a little scrambled. Now, are you using Plex to look at it, or just any old file browser?
No, just Mac and Windows.
Okay, so you're opening the folders and looking in there, and what does Plex see? Does it just sees the stuff that's intact? Everything else is garbage, right?
Yeah. Well, my Plex library is actually on separate hard drives.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and it's all on Plex, but
the problem is because it keeps an index, but as soon as you start to play something that's damaged, it's going to say, I don't know what's going on here, but I can't play it. So it sounds like that hard drive is starting to fail. And when hard drives fail, all sorts of weird things happen. So there's just to understand what's going on and to pick the tool that will be the most useful. First of all, of course, make sure everything is backed up, because hard drives do die. And when you spend a lot of time digitizing 500 movies, you don't want to have to do that all over again. So backing up, there should only be one copy of nothing. That's syntactically bizarre, but you always want at least 2 copies of everything. Ideally 3, one in an odd, in an off-site location in the cloud or at another location. That's the ideal situation for backup. I know, and it doubles and triples the amount of storage you need, and that's a bummer, especially for these big files. Otherwise, and then sometimes people say, well, if I lose it, I lose it. So, and yes, having it on RAID does not guarantee you're not going to lose it either. Believe me, as anybody who's used RAID, that stuff can be lost. So there's really 2 big categories of hard drive failure. There's soft failures, which this sounds like, to be honest with you, where there's no physical damage to the drive, but the drive catalog got scrambled or things got scrambled up a little bit. And that's what this sounds like. There's also physical failures, hard drive failures, the circuit board on the hard drive, which is the interfaces fails or is damaged, or the platters get damaged, gouged. Maybe the head on a moving hard drive, the head gets damaged. These, I presume, are spinning drives. I'm sure they are. You wouldn't want to put these on SSDs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But SSDs fail in similar ways. So there's physical and there's soft failures. A soft failure often can be fixed with software, as might make sense. One thing I would look at, my friend Steve Gibson makes a very low-level program called SpinRite. It doesn't fix all problems. It's designed to fix a specific problem, which is that sectors of the hard drive become hard to read or almost unreadable. If they're hard to read, sometimes the operating system will give up and say, I can't read it. That may be the case in your disk catalog. For instance, all your data may be intact and exactly in the places it was before, but the catalog that says, well, here's where that is damaged. That's, to me, what it sounds like. It would look like things are scrambled up. You run SpinRite on this drive. It'll go through one by one, sector by sector. It doesn't care about operating system. It doesn't care about file system. It just asks for the sector. Read. You can't do this on the Mac. Got to do it on PC. Read, because it uses DOS, believe it or not. Reads each sector. Unlike Windows and Mac, in a normal situation, it doesn't give up easily. So if a sector is hard to read, and your Mac said, I can't read it, I give up, SpinRite will keep trying, which means this can take a long time, sometimes weeks. Let's hope it's not going to take that long.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because what it's going to do is it's going to say, I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it, I'm going to. And, the one time in 500 reads it gets it, and then it goes, I got it. And it moves it and says, never use that sector again, then goes to the next one and the next one and the next one. If, as I suspect, what's gone wrong with your drive is just a very small portion of it where the catalog is stored is damaged, this shouldn't take that long, because SpinRite can basically read the catalog one last time, move it, and then everything will be fine. It'll go through the rest of the drive and say it's fine. SpinRite's about $90, which is about what it would cost to buy a 4 terabyte replacement drive. But if that data is important, so that's the lowest level. And often that will kind of refresh a drive and be enough to fix it. And in your case, this sounds like what's going on. If it's an operating system level problem, then there are other disk recovery tools that operate using the operating system. They can understand what they're looking at. SpinRite doesn't understand. It just sees bits. So start with the low level. See if that fixes it. If you really care about this stuff, if it's worth $90 to you, I would get a copy of SpinRite. grc.com is the place to go.
GRC?
Yep. Gibson Research Corporation. Remember, you're going to have to, basically the way it works, it makes a DOS boot disk using FreeDOS, an open source version of DOS, and boots to that, because it can't work while the operating system's running. It has to work on a Windows drive while it's running. Can that external drive, is it USB?
Yeah. It's a USB. It's exFAT.
So, oh, good. All right. So, but again, SpinRite doesn't care. exFAT, DOS, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then TFS, doesn't matter, because it's just looking at the sectors. But USB will hide, that interface will hide information about the drive. So generally, when you're running SpinRite, you take it out of the USB enclosure and put it in that PC on the SATA bus, and then do it, because it'll have full access to the drive that way.
All right. Cool. Thank you.
Okay. My pleasure. I hope you get it back. This is why we talk about backup, because inevitably getting it back is more expensive and more difficult and more time consuming than just getting it backed up in the first place. But sometimes it can happen. If you have a soft failure, you work your way up from the lowest level to the operating system. If it's a hard failure, that's a very expensive repair. Then you have to send it out to somebody who has got a special lab and bunny-suited technicians and can take it apart and replace hardware. That is almost never worth it. So the way SpinRite works, it doesn't need to know anything about the file system. It needs to know about the drive. It works at the drive level and the drive geometry. So it tells the drive, and all drives have this capability, move this sector to another free sector, and obviously update the sector reference table, and then mark the old sector bad. It doesn't matter what the file system is or the operating system. That's all at a much higher level. It's the drive and the drive geometry that SpinRite uses. And the reason, it's actually using an old BIOS routine to do this. A BIOS interrupt. And so, which is one of the reasons that you have to use FreeDOS, because it's using a BIOS level disk read and write. It's very low level read and write. And I wonder, I'm not sure what Steve's doing. That's why it didn't work with EFI and all that. I don't know what Steve's doing in the new version, but I think he's duplicating the interrupt call, but I'm not sure. I'll have to ask him at some point. But, the base operation of SpinRite is it makes a BIOS call. What is it, int 18, int 20? I can't remember what int it is. And it makes a BIOS call and says, which is to read disk. And the only difference between that and the way the operating system does it is it doesn't give up, doesn't time out. Keep reading the disk until you get it. Is it in 15? No. Oh, there it is, in 13. So it uses int 13, low-level disk services. And int 13 gives you read, write, verify, and it all works at a drive level, not an operating system level. Extended read, extended write. Yeah, but remember, the imaging operation is operating is doing it as an operating system level. So it has that same problem, which is the whole thing that SpinRite solves, which guessing is what's wrong with this guy's drive, is some sectors become hard to read. You can image a drive, but if you can't read the sector, that sector won't go along with the image. So imaging it does not solve this problem. One way to solve the problem is to format the drive, but then you're going to lose all your data. So all drives have bad sectors. They come from the factory with bad sectors. And many drives, all drives lose sectors all the time. That's why you have ECC. That's why you have a bad sector table. It's just, that's how drives work. Yeah, it falls out of tolerance. But int 13 can be surprisingly successful at reading even a bad sector if it doesn't time out. So it actually works with SSDs, which I'm really not sure why it works with SSDs. I don't understand what he's doing there. Unless int 13, well, if you've got int 13 on a system and it understands SSDs, it should, it'd still work that way. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, virtual reality, augmented reality, real reality. 8888 Ask Leo is my phone number. 888-827-5400. 5536. And that's a toll-free number anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Use Skype if you're outside that area. Still free. Website where we put everything we talk about, techguylabs.com. We were talking last call, failing hard drive. Somebody in the chat room said, well, Leo, which hard drive manufacturer is best, or which do you trust? And, there are studies and so forth, and you could say, well, this one's more reliable on that one. But the problem is, statistically, maybe Seagate's a little more reliable than Western Digital or vice versa. I don't even know. Statistically, but the problem is you're not a statistic. You're you. And at any given time, any given hard drive can fail. So it doesn't matter if a hard drive fails that you bought the one that's less likely to fail. They all fail. You shouldn't trust them. You should not trust them. You should not trust any storage medium. And maybe, if you're lucky, it will never fail. Bless you. That's wonderful. Bless your heart. But it would be imprudent, wouldn't be prudent, to assume that it won't fail. Or, well, I bought the best, so it's not going to fail. That's meaningless. You're not a statistic. You're you. That hard drive is your hard drive. And, no matter how good a hard drive, some of them fail in the first few months. Some of them last 10 years. Eventually, all hard drives fail. And SSDs are more reliable, but same thing. So, and it's not just the drive itself. I mean, there's controller circuitry. There's all sorts of things that can go wrong on a hard drive. So really, that's the wrong question. What's the best hard drive? That's the wrong question. The question is, what can I do to save my data? And that answer is always the same. Back it up. One copy of anything is not enough. You're running just scary. Putting it on a RAID array. Oh, I'm safe. I've got a 5-drive RAID array with dual disk failover. No, believe me. Talked to plenty of people whose RAIDs have failed. This all the time, for all sorts of reasons. So there really is only one answer, and that's back it up. Just back it up. Ideally, you would have not 2 but 3 copies. People who like wedding photographers who really cannot lose a picture. Imagine. They stage this wedding just for you, the photographer. Take these pictures, and then you come back and say, oh, can you do it again? I lost the pictures. No. No, we cannot do it again. We are married, my friend. And you better find those gosh darn pictures. So if you're a wedding photographer, if your life is on the line, if you don't want a bridezilla pounding on your door, you make sure you have 3 copies. Not 1, not 2, but 3 copies. And one of them is off-site, away from your studio, your house, in another place. Could be in the cloud, that's fine. Honestly, I even get nervous with just 3 copies. I like to have 5, 6, 7 copies. And then there's another thing which we don't talk about. But human error is really the threat to your data. You just doing something dumb or making a mistake. We all do it. And even if you have multiple backups, it's possible. You want to make this very hard, but it's possible to accidentally do something to your original that then propagates to your backups. And when you go back to get that picture of the bride and the first kiss, and he's lifting up the veil and it's gone. You want to make sure that you have protected it against even your own mistakes. You want something deep cached, something locked away, hidden, so that even you can't screw it up. And if you're a wedding photographer, you do that, I'm sure. I hope, I presume. Otherwise, you're not going to be in the business for very long because stuff happens. 8888 ask Leo the phone number. I'm going to go to line 3. I don't know what your name is. Kim neglected to put your name in, but Mr. Denon Receiver, hello?
Yes, hello. This is David in Venice Beach.
Hi, David. Nice to talk to you.
My pleasure. Well, thank you for taking my call. And then I watched a movie with my Denon receiver for sound.
Yep.
And in the past few weeks, it turns off by itself for a few seconds and turns back on and repeats that 3 or 4 times in a row.
Oh, I don't like that.
No. So I know there's two switches. There's the on and off power button, and then the second one I turn on when I turn the whole receiver is the on and standby, and that's the one that turns on and off.
Interesting. So it's going into standby, in other words.
Yeah, for just a second.
For just
and
a
then
second.
It restarts.
Yeah, I don't know if there's something you can fix. All of those, I use Denon as well. I'm very happy with my Denon receivers. I have two of them, in fact, for my home theater systems. But I don't know if there's a lot you can fix. They're basically computers nowadays, solid-state circuitry. And it could be, I can give you some possible things, and maybe there is one thing you could try. I think all home theater gear, because nowadays they are computers and they're very sensitive, your TV, your receiver, all your stuff, I put all of that on a good, solid, not just a surge protector, but a power conditioner. And honestly, when people buy home theater systems, they should buy a good power conditioner along with it. So the one thing it could be happening is intermittent power spikes that are switching the receiver off and on briefly. That's the one thing you can do something about. If it's inside the receiver, I don't think there's much you can do about it. And I doubt there's a Denon repair guy down the corner. I mean, these are, nowadays it's all so solid state, they would replace boards and things like that. It'd probably be cheaper to get a new receiver than to try to get it fixed.
And I don't know. I'm not very savvy either. So when you said they're all like computers now, mine is older. I don't know if.
But it doesn't. Even if it's older, it doesn't have tubes. It's got. If you open it up, it's a bunch of circuit boards inside there, and that's what I mean by it's a computer. It's not. In the old days when there were little tubes and stuff, and you could say, "Oh, a tube burnt out," and you could replace a tube. Where those days are long gone. There's nothing like that inside there that's easily fixable and easily replaceable. But I would look at a power conditioner. People forget how bad the electrical power is. Ideally, your equipment wants a sine wave, a smooth, clean sine wave at 60 cycles a second. But that's very often not what it's getting. There might be bzzz and square waves and all sorts of junk coming through. So a power conditioner is a great idea. Truth is, one thing I think a lot of people could look at is a whole home power conditioner. You can call your electrician. They put it in at the the junction box where you connect to the public power, and usually that's not that expensive, and it protects everything. But if I were you, I'd at least say, you're going to spend around $200. It's not going to be cheap, but I'd at least go out and there are a lot of companies that make these, TripLight, APCC. But don't get a surge protector. That's not what you want. What you want is something active that sits between your gear and the outside world of dirty power. And it takes that power coming in and converts it into that nice, smooth sine wave. So we call that power conditioning. Not a surge protector is just basically a fuse that if there's a big spike, it goes, and it's a fuse, it dies. That's not what you want. You want power conditioning. So you can search for that online. It's more expensive. It is not just a power strip. It's going to be a box. A lot of times they have a battery in there because what you're really doing is running off of battery power. I honestly think more of the problems people have with their home theater systems, if you're going to spend thousands on a good TV, 5.1 or 7.1 surround system and all of that, I think it's probably a good idea not to get a power strip, not to get a surge suppressor, but get something that will clean your power up. And then you can decide, do I need a battery? I don't think you do, but a lot of times they come with that. These are called UPSs, or uninterruptible power systems. You want to condition it. You want to make sure it's a nice, smooth, because I suspect what's happening is you're getting little blips, and the Denon's going, and it's kind of resetting. It's going, okay, and ultimately that could damage it. So I can't promise you that that's what's going on. A good electrician can come in and look at your power. There are boxes you can connect it to, and he can see if it's a nice, clean sine wave. But I think that's something we often don't think about. And I think we also don't understand that a power conditioner is a different thing than a surge suppressor. So I'll see if I can find a good article about all of that. I'll have to look. I'm sure somewhere somebody has written this up. 8888, maybe you could call me and tell me all about it. Nice to talk to you. Thanks for calling, David. 8888, ask Leo the phone number. The Chains of Love. 8888, ask Leo. Chris Marquardt, our photo guy's coming up. It's photo review time. Our assignment this month was ugly. So we're going to get a bunch of ugly pictures. I can't wait. I can't wait. Chris will be reviewing those in just a little bit. But first, let's go back to the phones to Chicago, Illinois, and Diane. Hi, Diane.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Leo, please suggest a free temporary place. I know about iDrive, and I'm going to get it.
Good.
To move Google Photos and Google Drive information until I've decided on a more permanent solution. And is it true?
Yeah.
And is it true that one of these will end on January the 5th?
So, I don't know about January the 5th, but Google Photos is not going to be free after June 1st. Maybe that's the one you're thinking about? January 5th. I wonder what's timing out in January. I wouldn't be surprised. We're seeing this all the time. So, Google Photos, by the way, everything you store on Google Photos until June 1st will stay free, they say, forever. So this might be a good time to just upload everything to Google Photos. But you're right. Even if that's the case, you shouldn't just use Google Photos. It's that same story I was talking about earlier where you shouldn't just have one copy of anything ever, right?
Correct.
So I wouldn't get rid of Google Photos, but you might want to add to it. There are a lot of sites that will give you free, unlimited photo uploads, at least for now. Are you an Amazon Prime member by any chance?
I am.
Amazon Prime offers free, unlimited, original photos, not even compressed photo storage. So get that Amazon Photos app. That's a great alternative. There are also a lot of sites like Shutterfly, which we use. I like Shutterfly for printing photos because they hope that you will store your photos there and then print them. Offer effectively unlimited free storage, shutterfly.com. So I would take advantage of that as well. They say we'll never delete your photos, free, unlimited, secure photo storage. And the reason a lot of people are moving there is because these days when somebody wants like says, oh, I like that photo, or could you send me a copy of that photo you just took of us? You can just say, yeah, I sure can. It's on Shutterfly. You can order it yourself.
Okay.
So that's a nice. So there's two for your photos, Amazon Prime and Shutterfly. Now your other storage, how much other storage do you have on Google Drive?
I don't know how many bytes, but there are a lot of documents there.
Yeah, they're probably not that huge. They don't take up that much space. It's the photos and videos and music, media files that take up a lot of space. Documents themselves are not too bad. Google, I think, gives you 15 gigabytes for free. You'd be hard to press to get past that 15 gigabytes unless you used Google Photos or Gmail. Because now everything counts against the 15. So one thing you could do is create a new Google account and move stuff over to that. That could be free for the first 15 gigabytes. There are other companies. Nobody is free forever. Photos are the only exception to that. But many companies offer a kind of a generous allowance for your first, free for your first storage. Microsoft OneDrive, I can't remember, I think is pretty good. I would check that out. So what you might do is say, well, I'll put 15 gigs here, 15 gigs there. 15 gigabytes of documents is a ton of documents. That's an awful lot of documents. I doubt you have that many. But with email and photos and stuff, music, that can easily fill up 15 gigabytes. But if it's just documents, I don't think you're going to have a problem. So you could look at OneDrive. Dropbox has a fairly generous initial free amount of storage. I can't remember if it's 5 gigs, I like Dropbox. That's another good choice. Box.com is another good choice. All of these guys want you to pay eventually. But they're not horribly expensive. Prices have dropped because hard drive prices have dropped. So it's not that expensive. I use a service that has, I think, a pretty good free tier called pCloud, pcloud.com. And they start with 10 gigabytes for free. I think they do a pretty good job as well. So Dropbox is only 2 gigabytes. That's not great. Yeah, thank you, Gold, in the chat room. I would take a look at some of these other services. For photos, use your Amazon Prime and Shutterfly, and keep Google. That way you've got 3 copies of everything. So if any one service goes away, you're not out of luck. And then for the other stuff, you could either keep Google or take a look at some of the other choices. Google's pretty affordable if you need to buy more storage. They're not too bad. I like pCloud. 10 gigs free. That's pretty good. pCloud has an unusual offer that I took advantage of, a lifetime price. I think it was $200. Let me see what it was. Well, yeah, it's a little more now. But I bought last year, the year before, 2 terabytes forever. And I think at the time it was $200. It's now $350. But I like the idea of having, I know I always have that 2 terabytes forever. And they have an encrypted capability as well, which is kind of nice, although that's an additional yearly payment of a few bucks. So I'm kind of a fan of pCloud. What do you use for long-term storage, Chris?
I upload things to Wasabi.
You know, more and more I'm hearing technical people, because, you know, you have to know what you're doing, using Wasabi, because it's cheap.
And it's compatible with S3, and
right.
It's
so if you use an
S3
tool for your backup, we used to use Jungle Disk, used to love that.
Yeah.
It would work with that, and then it's $6 a month per terabyte, I think, something like that.
Yep.
So it's not too bad.
Yeah, and it's okay, and I have a couple of terabytes up there, and I use ARQ.
Oh, ARQ.
Stuff there.
Yeah. So that's nice because that's a file that looks like the file system, right? Or it's not a copy.
No, ARQ is a backup software, so
okay.
it does versioning and everything, and it has everything in. But I think it puts the files in there in the right structure, so you can
preserves the
worst
structure.
case you can reserve you can just download stuff. But
I'll have to check that out.
Never had a problem with it.
There is a program. It only works on Windows, so I'm not familiar. I never used it, but David Friend at Wasabi uses that actually makes a file system. A mountable file system of Wasabi. So you can kind of have your Wasabi storage sitting there.
Mountain Duck.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Mountain Duck is by the same people who do CyberDuck. Is it CyberDuck?
Yeah, CyberDuck. Yeah. Mountain Duck is Mac compatible. Right?
It is, yeah, and it supports a whole bunch of different file systems, and it mounts your Dropbox as a file system and so on, so you don't have to use the Dropbox client, that kind of stuff.
That's cool, and it is Mac compatible, so I'm going to take a look at that one.
I like it.
Yeah, mountainduck.io. Yeah, terrible name.
It is. Well, it mounts things, okay?
Oh, yeah, it's a mountain duck. I get it. Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that really is clever. Look at that. And that works with S3 buckets. Ooh, it supports Cryptomator too, which is very nice. It does, yeah. Ooh. So for $60 a year, you can get 2 terabytes at Wasabi. Is that right? Or no, 1 terabyte at Wasabi. So $120 a year. And then you could use Mountain Duck. That's a nice way to do it, yeah. And Mountain Duck works with Google as well, and Dropbox and Azure and OneDrive. Oh,
it works with almost everything, yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
And it's now M1 compatible as well.
I
had a bit of an issue there.
I'm spoiled. I have. It's so funny. I basically have shut down all my computers except my M1 laptop, and I won't use it if it's not M1 native. I just go, I don't need it. I don't need it.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with that thing.
Getting spoiled.
I'm so spoiled. Emacs on an M1, awesome. Just awesome.
Finally, Emacs is fast. It only took
so
30
awesome.
years.
I know. And I have a pretty big setup. I have a lot of stuff going on. And it loads like that. Of course, I keep it running as a daemon anyway, but it's still, even if you don't, runs like that. It's so awesome. It's the perfect Emacs environment. The wonderful Paul Simon introduces our wonderful photo guy, my photo sensei, Chris Marquardt at sensei.photo. He is a beautiful photographer who has been grounded by COVID-19, used to do these wonderful travel photography workshops, but now we'll give you coaching over the internet, which is pretty cool at sensei.photo. Hello, Chris.
Hello. By the way, have I ever told it's really nice to have a theme song here? I really like that.
I love your theme song. It's my favorite of all of them. Paul Simon's Kodachrome. Oh, I love that. Yeah. So, and you do shoot Kodachrome, by the way. Chris has a whole book on film photography. So it's not
no
even...
Kodachrome anymore.
No?
It's not.
What do you shoot in your film?
The film is not manufactured anymore. The development of Kodachrome used to require specific labs, special labs with special chemistry, and it was really complicated. You couldn't.
So you shoot
just have it developed in an hour.
Do you shoot Ektachrome?
It's Ektachrome. It's other things, and
the
it's
E1
digital,
process.
it's analog, everything.
Yes. Easy peasy. Why, you could do it in your kitchen sink.
You could. not that you want to in some cases.
It smells terrible.
I do black and white. I do black and white development. It's fun.
It is fun.
It's a zen activity.
In the days before digital photography, I had a Bessler enlarger and the papers and the chemicals, and it was fun. I used to shoot Kodak Tri-X because that's pretty easy to develop, and it was so much fun. I've often
imported Bessler.
You do? Imported from where?
Yes, we do. Well,
isn't it
from
German?
the US. I didn't import. No, it's not. It's it's American. We import not we import, someone imported it and then we bought it used from them.
Nice.
Anyway,
let's
look at the assignment.
We'll save that conversation for another day because we have some work to do. Every month, Chris gives us a photo assignment, a word or an idea for you to illustrate. This was a popular one. Ugly. I
have to say, I'm usually not the one who gives the assignment. It's the community. It is the members of the Flickr group that I ask every month, and they deliver and make suggestions. And then I have the easy task of just picking one, and ugly was just one of the cooler ones.
Well, he is going alphabetically, so he has to pick ones that are, in the U, and will be V next time. So a lot of ugly pictures in over the transom,
which also means that the alphabet is going to be over pretty soon, and I'll have to come up with another idea. But ugly photos. So some people took it very literally and came up with pictures that I don't really want to look at because they are ugly. I mean, just from a photographic point of view, it's just someone just pointing the camera somewhere without even looking through the viewfinder. It's like, not really. But then some people made a try to make something ugly look great in a photo. And
interesting.
That's the photos I picked.
All right.
So
let's start with our review.
Beautiful pictures of ugly things. And the first one is by Tony, titled I've Seen Better Days. And it's an old garage, a wooden garage with like old chipped off paint and glass
by the way,
missing, I think.
Ugly green paint.
But then old derelict stuff there's something about this from a photographic point of view. You have the textures are interesting, the old shapes are interesting, the color. I mean, okay, this minty green color is not maybe the nicest one, but
it's interesting. It's geometrically interesting because of the shapes. So
and it tells a story. It tells a story. It has history. It's not just some anonymous object. It has a history, and that's what I like about it. So not the most beautiful garage, but certainly a good picture of it. Nicely composed, by the way. Very straight lines, so camera is not tilted. Looks very deliberate.
Yeah. I like it.
So that is the first one. Second one is by Gregory Chesney, Back into the Earth.
This is, I think, ugly and yet beautiful. I think this is a very interesting photo.
It's a black and white photo of leaves, wet, crumpled fall leaves on the ground on asphalt. And yeah, it's not beautiful. I mean, if you look at fall and the beautiful fall colors and everything, there's nothing of that in there.
There's mud.
It's just like
there's decomposing
smashed
leaves.
up, smushed up. Yeah. But isn't it a photo that tells a story? Isn't it a nice, very simple kind of photo? Yeah.
Very interesting.
The textures again, the shapes. I like this. So good job. And last but not least, I had to laugh about this. It's by Thomas. And what we're looking at is a sunset with lots of orange dots on it. And Thomas explains it. Headed up to Point Reyes National Seashore to take some new equipment out for a spin. Unfortunately, I wasn't taking the weather too serious and ended up with some raindrops on the front of the lens.
Oh.
And as you can see, I didn't notice. So what we're seeing is a wet lens. And I find this effect fascinating.
It's the opposite of bokeh that we talked about last week, because the drops are in the front of the picture, not in the back of the picture. I think it's very interesting.
And they all get colored by the sun. So you have all these tiny little out of focus suns in front of the actual sun, and the colors are very strong. So I'm pretty sure Thomas played with those and
tweaked up the saturation a little bit. Yeah,
probably. But it's this nice little kind of layer on top of the other photo, and it just adds a very, very interesting kind of spin to the sunset. So maybe ugly from I didn't expect that kind of point of view, but I kind of like it. It's a happy accident.
To me, the ugliness is the colors. They're just the bad color combination.
They're a bit over the top, aren't they?
But that's fun. What a great assignment. What fun we have had with ugly. But I'm sorry to say thank you to all of the people participating, but we now have to find a new assignment for a new year and a new month.
We did. I did find a new assignment, and this time it was supplied by Steve King, CDA, on the Flickr group in the chat, and it's vintage. Vintage.
That's our V.
Which, again, could mean so many different things.
Oh, I like it. We're going to have fun with vintage. So let me explain how this works if you've not done it before. First of all, it's not a contest. There is no prize. This is just really an assignment to get you out there taking pictures. So we don't want old pictures. I don't want you going through your library looking for pictures from the vintage pictures from the old days. You need to take a new picture illustrating the word or the concept, the idea of vintage. Now, it doesn't matter what you use. You can use whatever you've got, a smartphone, fancy camera. There's no prejudice here. It's not about the technology. It's about the image itself. Please, if you find one you like, you can upload as many as one a week, and this goes on for 4 weeks. So you can actually upload as many as 4 images if you start today. Go out and take those pictures. Find one you like. You need to upload it to Flickr, which is a free photo sharing site at flickr.com. You'll have to be a member of our Tech Guy group. So if you're not already on Flickr, join. It's free. Then join the Tech Guy group. You'll know you're in the right one because there's, 13,000 members. Picture me. There's also Renee Silverman, our moderator. She'll say, hey, welcome. Then you can start uploading. Do please, if you will, tag the picture when you submit it to the Tech Guy group so we know it's for this assignment. Just tag it TG Vintage. TG Vintage. And Renee will say, oh, good, thank you. And in about 4 weeks, Chris will pick 3 of them to talk about on the air. That's your only reward, the notoriety of Chris talking about them. Chris is at sensei.photo, SENSEI.photo. That's where you can get photo coaching and information. He's got lots of great books. I love his wide-angle photography book particularly. And he joins us every week. Stay safe, stay healthy, Chris.
Thanks, you too.
We'll see you next week. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Vintage. Now, I live in wine country, so it could be vintage wine.
No.
It could be.
Could be all sorts of things.
I also live in
all sorts of things.
Town that celebrates vintage vehicles, so it could be that. Could be all sorts of things. Cool.
Vintage furniture, vintage, whatever. Yep.
Could just be me. I'm vintage. Right? Yeah, we're not prejudiced. We're not prejudiced. Thank you, Chris.
Look at my beard. I'm getting vintage too.
Oh, you're getting vintage. Yeah. I don't know. I might be in a higher group myself because I have type 2 diabetes and I'm over 60, but I'm not over 65 or 75 now. So believe me, the minute I can,
definitely in a higher risk group.
The minute I can do it, I will do it. Believe me, I have no fear of it.
Oh, at the second I can do it, I will do it. Of course.
You're lucky because in your country, health is centralized because you have national health. So there at least is some sort of kind of overarching plan. Here, it's like
you would think, wouldn't you?
Here's some
you
vaccines.
No, it's not quite. That's not quite the case.
Not that well done.
No,
is it done by state or?
Yes, it is, and that makes it a bit difficult. That also makes the whole lockdown things difficult because they're not as centrally coordinated. There's different governments kind of doing different things, so the messaging isn't clear, and that doesn't help. Doesn't really help. So we've just had a case of people going to ski slopes and filling them up more than usual. And you see the photos in the video, and you go, what did these people not get? What is it they didn't understand?
Well, at least they're outside. Although I'm sure that after
but
they
outside
ski,
in groups, après ski, huh?
Yeah.
You'll go have a drink somewhere.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah. Oh boy, I don't know. I'm also worried about this more contagious variant because I feel like that's going to rip through us like crazy. Everybody's going to.
That is going to be an interesting ride. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you get it. I hope you get it soon. I will feel so relieved. Yeah, the vaccine, not COVID. No, don't. I hope you don't get it. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I have an what they call an HMO. I have Kaiser, so I'm hoping they'll be a little more organized than just the doctor on the street.
I'll be at least till mid-year.
Yeah, I figure that's the same for me. Yeah. All right. So. Well, we'll just stay in our little bubbles.
All right.
Take care, Chris.
See you next week.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Professor Laura, our musical director, as always, keeping the tunes happening. Nolan in Los Angeles is next. Hello, Nolan.
Hey, how are you doing, Leo?
I'm great. Thanks for hanging on.
All right, no problem. Thank you. I have two questions for you, and I'll try to make them brief, so hopefully you'll be able to answer them.
Okay.
Separate issues. One is the passwords on the iPhones. Is that safe? Does it work? And does it offset other programs like OnePass and all of those?
Yeah, actually, if you only use Apple devices, it is as good a password manager as you can get. Apple does a very good job of securing it, both on the iPhone and on the Macintosh. It's hard to find, but there's a password generator built in. And because it's from the operating system, it's certainly the most convenient in terms of filling in passwords, things like that. So absolutely, it's safe. I actually, the problem is you have to use Safari on the Mac. You have to use Safari on iOS. It won't, you can't, your passwords will not be available to you on anything but an Apple device. So Windows and Android, forget about it. So the main reason people use third-party password managers like LastPass or 1Password or KeyPass or Bitwarden, and I can go on, is because they're cross-platform. And they work pretty much the same. The big advantage Apple has is, they own the operating system so that they can be more tightly integrated. But in terms of security, they're doing it absolutely right.
Okay. Thank you. I'll try to keep it brief. My next question, maybe this might be just put in the chat and see if someone knows the answer to it. My question is Microsoft Office Access, which is a cataloging program. I need something similar to that for Apple or for Mac.
Yeah.
I have about 1,500 DVDs, Blu-rays, 4Ks, and I want to catalog them like, by genre, by title, those kinds of things. So if you know of a program that does
I do.
that,
Yeah. I'll give you some suggestions. So there's 3 ways to go with this. There's roll your own. There's purpose-built for that specific thing. And then there is more like Access, which really is a database program that is completely general purpose. You can make it be about your CDs, but you can make it be about anything. And it's actually used in business for a lot of things. So it's a heavy-duty database program. So I'll give you something in each of those categories. If you're going to roll your own, Access uses a row and column layout that's kind of like a spreadsheet, right? So truthfully, you could use the spreadsheet that comes with Mac computers, which is called Numbers. And I think there's even a template for like a DVD database that would be just fine. It'd have many of the same features as Access. So that's if you want to just roll your own. But there are also, this is a fairly popular category on the Macintosh. So there are a lot of programs that are designed specifically for cataloging things like books and movies and TV shows. The best one out there, the most beautiful one out there, and the one that's been around the longest is called Delicious Library.
Okay.
And Delicious Library version 3 is out. It has a built-in scanner, which is nice. So you can use your iPhone to scan the back of the DVD case, and it'll automatically populate it. It's free to try. It's not very expensive compared to something like Access, which is a fairly expensive purchase. I think it's from delicious-monster.com. I think Delicious Library, and it's beautiful. It really looks gorgeous, and it'll give you charts and all sorts of things. So that's a purpose-built program specifically for tracking books, music, films, that kind of thing.
Excellent.
Now I'm going to give you, I said I'd give you 3 categories. If you want Access, if you want a database program, of course, there are a lot of choices on the Mac side as well, but I think Claris FileMaker is probably the best full-service database on the Macintosh. It's designed really for you to write programs like Delicious Library yourself and distribute them, and it has that capability. But that's a powerful relational database, and it's probably overkill for what you want. So there's 3 different choices. Do it yourself in Numbers, get Delicious Library, or there are a lot of other in that category, a lot of other database programs for that, or a full database program, which would be FileMaker Pro. So those are your 3 choices. How about that for an answer?
You actually gave me an excellent answer. I didn't know the Delicious. I used Access, and I created my own program, but I wanted something for Mac.
This is the most, in fact, this program was so beautiful when it came out, and it's been more than 10 years, that it spawned a whole kind of software movement. They called the Delicious movement in Macintosh software. And so I'm really pleased that the Delicious Monster is still doing it, still making it available. I think it's a really nice little program that has been around for an awful long time. And gets better all the time. I think you're going to say, "Oh, wow, this is so much better than Access."
Thank you. I will look it up right now.
All right. It's nice to talk to you. Have a great day.
Okay.
All right. Take care, Nolan. Grand Rapids, Michigan. Richard is on the line. Hi, Richard.
Well, Happy New Year's, Leo.
Happy New Year.
Woo. I don't have a kazoo, but
I have a vuvuzela.
Leo celebrating
vuvuzela. I'll blow my vuvuzela for you. Okay. Oh, that's annoying.
Oh, that is sad.
That is sad. Oh. That is sad.
Oh.
What can I do for What can I do for you, Richard? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you.
No, you didn't. It's been a nice learning experience. Kazoo sounds better, but
a kazoo would be better. Yes.
I'm in the market. I have looking for a nice laser printer for home. Doesn't have to be color, but I'm running into a whole bunch of, how do I want to put this? It looks like they put together with Rector sets.
I actually think a laser printer is a very good choice for a lot of people. Color is not great. It's what they call business color, so it's not like photographic. But you can get color. But if you want black and white, crisp, very readable, great printouts, I think a laser printer is a good choice, especially if you're a light-duty printer. You know, with inkjets, you got to use them all the time or they get clogged up. Not a laser. If you use it once a month, once a year, it doesn't matter. I like Brother. I think they make excellent, inexpensive laser printers. I have a Brother at home that I'm very happy with. So, you know, they have home laser printers that are, you know, like $100. The one thing to know when you get the laser printer is it's going to come with a tiny cartridge. So you're going to have to get more toner. But the second time you buy toner, you're going to buy a normal size cartridge or even a jumbo cartridge, and that'll be the last one you'll buy. So, the Samsung makes them, excellent ones. You know, I think laser printers are a very good choice for a lot of people. Not for color, not for photographic printing, not for specialty printing like CD labels. But if you just want a plain old printout in nice high quality, go laser, absolutely. I'm trying to remember the name. Let me find the Brother that I own. See if I don't even know if they still sell it, but I will give you the name and you can. I'm very happy with it. Let's see here. I have the Brother MFC L2750DW monochrome all-in-one wireless laser printer, duplex copy and scan. And I don't think it was, I think it was like $100 when I bought it. It looks like I bought it 2 years ago. So they probably have a more modern, more up-to-date version of it. But I've been, you know, because I don't print hardly at all. So when and we also have, an Epson inkjet at home. So when we need color, we can do that. But a lot of times you just want it like a document, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the scanner works very well too. So, I have no hesitation recommending those. And are they inexpensive. Well, my first laser printer was $5,000. It was ridiculous. These start just around $150. They're not expensive.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you.
My pleasure. Have a great day. Happy New Year. Blow my vuvuzela. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smartphones and smart watches and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo is my phone number if you want to talk with me about technology. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, use Skype. It'll still be free. 8888 Ask Leo. Everything we talk about ends up on the website. Now, 17 years worth. This is the 17th anniversary of the Tech Guy Show. So there's 1,759 episodes. That's about right. 2 a week for 17 years. 110 a year. That's about right. 1,759 episodes. And there's no sign up. It's free. It's there for you to search through. We even put audio and video from past shows up there too. TechGuyLabs.com. Let me go back to the phones. Mark is on the line from Los Angeles. Hi, Mark. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. Happy New Year. Have a very safe and healthy 2021.
The same to you, Mark. Absolutely.
Thank you. Let's see. So I have a Samsung Note 10 using Sprint dash T-Mobile. I have full bars on my phone, but sometimes I don't get internet with even those bars, and I've talked to tech support and they're stumped. So
yeah.
Maybe I thought that you might know.
Yeah, and you've probably tried things like turning on airplane mode and turning it off again. And does that fix it?
No, and then updating, their regular updates and.
Does it fix it if you turn the phone off and on again?
It does not. I believe it has to do with the area, like a dead zone.
Yeah.
But I thought dead zones were when I don't even get any bars.
Well, the bars are technically not for data, they're for voice.
Oh.
So I guess it's possible, although highly unlikely, that you'd be in an area where you could get voice but not data. That would have to be an area with very old cell towers that didn't have data provided to the cell towers. You know,
That might be it.
It could be. Is it a pretty rural area? I mean, where are you?
I mean, it's Koreatown, Los Angeles. It's very.
You should get data in Koreatown. You should get data.
No. I mean, but it's pockets of like 1-2 blocks of area, and I would go there, and it just the time that it's always the time that I need it the most. I can't connect. I can't send the text. I'm sending it, and it's like spinning it. The text doesn't go through.
There is a diagnostic mode you can put your phone into. Is it you said it was a Samsung?
Note 10.
Note 10. And, it depends on the phone and the carrier, but there are usually secret codes you can enter. I think on Samsung, you got a pencil?
Yeah, I do.
I think on Samsung, there's *#0 $*#.
Okay.
Is one. That'll launch a, I think it depends on, most Samsungs, that'll launch a diagnostic mode. And then you can see how what your radios are getting and get some more information. It's actually a diagnostic mode for all the hardware. That's why it's Samsung specific. Your carrier also has probably a diagnostic code that you could enter into the phone that would tell you specifically what the bars, the bars are, that's not a really great measurement system, right?
Fine, okay.
So there is, and if you probably can Google it or go to your phone store and the guy behind the counter knows it. And if you're real nice to him and you say, is there a diagnostic mode? Because I'm having this problem. And if you get a nice...
Where do I enter this?
You just like in the dialer, like you're going to dial, like you're dialing a phone number.
I see.
And then you press dial, and instead of a phone call going through, it goes, and it launches this diagnostic.
Okay.
And if you can get the guy behind the counter to tell you what the diagnostic is for your carrier, or you could find it online, you could do that. And that would actually gives you like a meters that you can see the signals. And that may be, where did you get the phone?
At a Sprint store.
Okay. So it may be because it's Sprint that it may not have the right. This may be also part of the Sprint T-Mobile transition because the phone is designed to use Sprint towers, which are CDMA towers. They're not the same as the T-Mobile towers. If you got a newer phone at the T-Mobile store, or you converted your account, as you will be anyway, to T-Mobile, you might not have this problem. But if it's only using the old Sprint towers, it may be they've decommissioned the data signal. It may be it doesn't have the right radios for the new data signal, that kind of thing.
I'll give it a shot.
That's why the diagnostic could be helpful, because you'd see, for instance, on the data radio, 0. Like, I got 5 bars of nothing. Now, also check to make sure that your APNs, your access point settings, are correct. I'm sure you've done that by now. They're different for every carrier. My best guess is this is a problem that's going on because of the Sprint to T-Mobile transition. They're transiting you over from the Sprint towers to the T-Mobile towers. That phone was designed to work with Sprint. A more modern phone may not. You said the S10?
No, it's the Note 10.
Note 10, which is a great phone. It was actually one of the last great Notes, I thought. And it's not even that old. It's a couple of years old.
No.
Exactly. But when they build these phones, they build them for that carrier and for those carrier frequencies. And it may well not have the right radio to get T-Mobile data in certain areas. Okay. Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, can I ask a quick follow-up question?
Sure.
Okay. It was about Thanksgiving when I called you. I was the property manager who asked about cloud collaboration, and you gave me some pointers.
Yeah.
Well, I've been so busy that I didn't even get to it. So now my next follow-up question is, what is the title of something that I could look online to get people to do this for me, to set it all up for me?
What would you? What job description would you be looking for?
So, get us our office online or onto the cloud.
Yeah,
everybody could
do it.
What you probably want is what's called an MSP, a managed service provider.
Oh, okay.
They're a type of IT person who is not an employee, contractor, but who does that kind of thing. In fact, we don't even have a full-time IT department here at the podcast studio. We have an MSP who I love, and you can't have him, Russell, and he's a contract employee, so you pay him by the hour, but that's exactly what they do. And a good MSP is going to have, an employee will have a certain skill set, but somebody who has clients all over who he works with, who pay him by the hour, I think those are the guys. Those are the super pros, because you bring them in, and they come in and they get you going. So I would look for a good MSP in your area, and I don't know if they're in the yellow pages, but you'll be able to find one. I hope you find somebody as good as Russell. He's amazing. He actually is in the North Bay. Does a lot of wineries. Exponentia is his company, and he does a lot of wineries and stuff. And I just, if you're lucky enough to have somebody like Russell, all your troubles will fly away. If you have a problem, you call him, and he comes over, or he does it even remotely and is able to do it. This is a very hot category right now, actually, these managed service providers. I think this is probably the best way. If you're not big enough to have your own IT department, it's the best way to do it. Yes, and of course, as with any tech specialty, there will be some terrible ones too. So get references, interview. You want somebody who can communicate, but maybe the best MSPs aren't the most best communicators, if you know what I mean. They're geeks. So don't judge them by how they communicate. Judge them by their results. So ask for some references. If you find a good one, hang on tight. I've tried to hire Russell so many times. He said, no, why would I want to work for anybody? I love my work. I love my job. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Space guy Rod Pyle coming up in about 10 minutes. We're going to talk about alien signals from space, from Proxima Centauri. What? Matthew on the line from Murrieta, California, our next call. Hi, Matthew. Matthew.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Leo.
How are you?
Hello, Leo.
Hello.
Doing good.
Good.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. What can I do for you?
I have a quick question for you.
Yes.
Recently bought a Facebook portal. Did send one to a second address for the in-laws in Pennsylvania.
Nice.
And it works pretty good. They say they're going to add Zoom to it. They keep saying every month, next month, next month. So my question is there a device similar to that for doing Zoom on the TV?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm one of many family members, cousins, aunts, uncles that run a property management company, and we do Zooms 3 to 4 times a year, and it would make more sense for us to be able to do that where I'm not sitting there with my Samsung tablet hooked to the TV wirelessly and having to look up at the TV, look back down, and everything.
Yeah, I mean, Zoom sells them, but they're not intended for home users, and I think they're pretty expensive. You know, they're for conference rooms. Because Zoom, remember...
A similar one from a third party, and it was about $5,500.
Yeah.
And the way it's set up, you can't put it on the tabletop.
Yeah.
You have to mount it behind your TV on the wall.
Yeah, that's kind of not ideal. Do you have an iPhone or an iPad?
No, I don't.
No.
I'm on Android.
So another way to do it, if you had this, you'd have to be all Apple. But if you had an Apple device and an Apple TV, you can AirPlay it onto the TV, and the camera would be in your Apple device, but the picture would be on the screen. But the problem is, of course, everybody else, if they wanted to do that, would have to have an Apple device. Actually, many modern TVs do have Apple TV built in. Apple started to license that out. So that may be more and more of a solution. Let's see. How else could we...
I'm really the only one doing it and everything.
Oh, so it's for you. Okay.
Yeah, it's just for me because most of them are on iPads or they're on Android tablets or laptops.
Oh, so they don't care. It's just you want to see it on the big screen.
Yeah, I just want to be able to do it like I'm in a conference room, sit in the living room, do it. I can have
Here's another way to do it.
I can have my tablet out.
Kind of the same idea. If you don't have an Apple device, you can get Google's Chromecast, which is about $35. It plugs into your TV, and you could Chromecast to it. So you'd use Zoom on your Android device or your laptop, and then you would. So, for instance, let's say you're using Zoom on a Chromebook or a laptop. You put the laptop in front of the TV, so that's where the camera will be, or above the TV, so that's where the camera will be. Because remember, you have to use that device's camera. But then you can Chromecast the picture from that device to your big screen TV if you have a Chromecast device or it's a Chromecast-enabled TV.
Yeah, I'm doing that with the one that Samsung has built into the TV.
Oh, there you go.
For the Samsung tablet.
There you go.
For me, I didn't want to have a device like that. The picture quality wasn't as good.
You want like the portal, which sits on top of the TV and becomes the camera.
Right. I've heard some things kind of out there about a company in Orange County making something similar to the portal that does it, but I can't find any information on it, and it's supposed to be specifically for Zoom and supposed to be right around $100, but like I said, I can't find any information on it.
This is, and I'll put a link to this from The Verge. They had an article about it back in May when Zoom was really taking off. Logitech makes a camera designed to do this. I have a feeling it's going to end up costing some money because you also need a Crestron home time device. You know what? We're talking thousands of.
That's about $5,000.
Yeah, never mind. As I look at it, I realize, this is going to be the same cost as a conference room situation. I've exhausted all of my my ideas. Let's see if somebody can come up with one in the chat room or call us at 8888 Ask Leo, because that's an interesting idea. That's where I think Facebook really did a good job with the portal, because you got the one that goes on top of the TV. I take it.
Yeah, I've got a shelf underneath the TV on the wall. I put it there.
It's perfect.
It's super easy. Easy to use. You can screen share, video share with your Android device.
I mean, honestly,
with the in-laws, but we just need something for that.
Honestly, once Facebook adds Zoom capability, which they're planning to do, this'll, you won't need anything else. So I don't know what's. I don't know what's holding them up.
I just feel like it's never ending. So I'm like, what else can I get that's like it that'll give me that right now that I can do? Because I know I've heard of something out there. That people are talking about. They say, there's a startup out of Orange.
Oh, you know what? This is terrible. They do support it, just not on the one you got. It works on everything but Portal TV. Oh, for crying out loud.
What they're telling me is it's Android touchscreen on their picture frame model.
Right.
On the TV version, it's remote based, so they have to retool it completely.
Yeah, they're probably just not enough processor in that little TV device. That's what's going on. Darn it.
They said there barely was, and they're working on it, but every month they keep delaying it and saying it's more development. But maybe you're right. Maybe they're running into problems.
I use I have one of those little picture frames that Google makes, the Nest Hub Max, that is a Google Voice device, but it has a camera and a screen. And I've used that for Zoom calls, Duo calls. It's really cool. It's really nice. Would you be happy with something like that?
Yeah, something like that might work a little better.
Yeah, and the nice thing is it's got such a good camera that it can move around. As you move around in the picture, it follows you, just like your Portal does. It follows you around. So it has a lot of the features of the Portal, and I'm pretty sure it works with Zoom. So that might be another way. And by the way, I love my Google Nest Hub Max. It's got a terrible name, but it's a really nice device. I use it as a picture frame the rest of the time. So I have pictures from my Google Photos showing up. It can even watch if I subscribe to YouTube TV, so I can watch YouTube TV on it. I can watch video clips from YouTube on it. So it's like a little TV. It's like a little, I don't know, what is that, 7-inch, 8-inch TV. And I just keep it on my desk. It's a very handy thing. Maybe somebody has another idea for how you can get Zoom on your big screen TV. 8888 Ask Leo. Rod Pyle, Space 2.0. We're going to talk aliens when we come back. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, our rocket man is here, Rod Pyle, author, Space 2.0, editor-in-chief at Ad Astra, space.nss.org. He's on his boat, his rocket boat, in the San Diego harbor, and it's a beautiful day. Hello, Rod.
Hello, and it is beautiful down here.
Oh, it looks gorgeous.
I got to say, it's really something.
What a life you lead.
So, such as it is, although I have to say, at a place like this, it's kind of Groundhog Day every day, you know? There's the same.
No, that's the way it is in the entire world right now because of COVID.
Oh, you're right.
It's all blurred together. I have to, when I open my eyes, I go, what day is it? Where am I? What am I doing? So we were talking last week about these mysterious signals, mysteriously organized signals coming our way from was it Proxima Centauri? Did I get that right?
Yeah, so the planet is Proxima b, and it's a small rocky planet that's in the habitable or Goldilocks zone, as they call it, around that star, which is our closest star. It's just over 4 light years away.
So this is what they call an exoplanet. It's an Earth-like planet.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and I mean, all planets outside our solar system are exoplanets, but the ones we like the most are the rocky Earth-like ones because we hope we might find something there. Right. Interestingly, there's a new movie coming out called Persephone that a friend of mine is directing. That's about that. It's about finding a conscious entity on Proxima b, and it's very exciting.
There really wouldn't be anything more transformational in human culture than to find life outside our planet. That would be a big deal, especially if it's intelligent life.
Yeah, and we keep waiting, right? So last week we talked about, or week before we talked about Proxima b, but there's a new story which came out of a study from Caltech, where I used to work. And it's looking at the Drake equation again with modern data. And I think you brought up the Drake equation last time we talked. So it's the answer you want is how many civilizations might be intelligent and technological enough for us to talk to. So the factors in it are how many stars have planets, average number of planets that might support life, how many have life that might develop into intelligent life at some point, how many of them would have technology that could support that or at least release some kind of detectable sign and so forth. Yeah. So now that we've got so much better data on this stuff from radio telescopes and the Hubble and so forth, these guys factored that in, and the result they got is, well, we think there's a good chance everybody's dead but us. So which is the answer, the Drake equation may be one. So this is the dead alien segment, right?
Wait a minute.
Next week we'll talk
would they
about
be
tech
dead
again. Well, I'm glad you asked, Leo. So the sweet spot apparently was about, by their estimation, would have been about 8 billion years after the universe formed. And humans didn't start doing their thing until about 13.5 billion years. And they think it's also more probable, at least in our galaxy, that such cultures would have formed about 13,000 years from the galactic center, which was apparently the best place for stable star systems to support planets. And we're about 25,000 light years away. So we're sort of the delayed development species in the rural backwater of our own galaxy.
Well, we always
knew
one
that. Twitter,
yeah.
One person tweeted, the Galactic Federation makes jokes about the Earth like we make jokes about Florida, which I thought was kind of uncharitable.
I think Douglas Adams
So I guess the hope
said
is
we're on a distant arm in a faraway galaxy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, and why would they all wink out? And the thought is that most technological civilizations, if Earth is a model, may end up doing themselves in over time, as we see with climate change and nuclear weapons and so forth. So our hope is that there are some younger civilizations out there that haven't yet poisoned their planets or nuked each other or, built gray nano goo that took them out. And the biggest variable is how long does it take a species to do itself in or overcome that?
Here's my problem with all of that is it's so human-centric. I mean, all we know is ourselves. Yeah. And so what we imagine as life would be something kind of like us, right? And on a planet kind of like ours and technologically kind of like us. And so really all you're doing is mirror gazing and saying, well, we're not going to make it, so I doubt anybody else will. That doesn't seem like science. That seems more like speculation.
Well, it is, and I worked on visual effects on Star Trek years ago,
Did
and I
you?
enjoyed it a lot. But I really got tired of seeing all these guys in rubber suits with 2 legs and 2 arms and 2 eyes, and animal poo on their forehead and that kind of thing, like the Klingons had. It's like, come on, you guys, give us some real critters here.
The problem is we can't. If life probably has an infinite. Even on Earth itself, a nearly infinite variety. Life on another planet might not be carbon-based. What we think of as intelligence may not be what they've got, but they may have something that allows them to make radio waves or even travel through interstellar space. But if we met them, we'd have no common ground. It might be very difficult to communicate. They may already be here. It might be in this pen, but I just wouldn't know it was alive because it's not like me. So I don't know. I feel like this is one of those things you could spend a lot of time thinking about in a hot tub, and maybe I don't know. I want some evidence. That's what I want.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you there, and I think it is kind of the height of conceit to think that they've got to be like us, and I think some of us hope that they probably aren't. And the more we look around Earth, the more we see forms of life that aren't like us.
Yeah.
There are critters that live inside rocks in the Antarctic, for gosh sake,
in geologic
or down
vents,
those ocean vents,
miles below the sea. Surface of the sea. So, we don't know. I think we don't know nothing. But here's the real question.
Right.
Do you think at any point in the Earth's history we're visited by extraterrestrials?
So many people tried to build that case when you and I were growing up about the same time. Of course, we had
Chariots
Eric von
of the
Däniken, who was
Gods.
huge. Chariots of the Gods and the Nazca lines and all that. And, there's some compelling stories in there, but they're not compelling enough. And honestly, when you look at what it takes to cross interstellar space, especially if it's, far away in the galaxy, I think it's more likely they're going to teleport and step out of my closet than it is they're going to show up in a tin can in orbit somewhere. Right. Do we have time for one more quick story?
Yeah.
So remember Oumuamua from 2017, 2018?
The comet.
It was that rock that... see, that's the thing. We don't know. So it's this rock that comes slinging through the solar system, but it's off the plane of the ecliptic, the equator of the solar system, and it dips through, circles the sun, and then splits and goes out the other way.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of conjecture about it. So another new study, this one from Avi Loeb, who's the chairman of the astronomy department at Harvard, and he initially said, this isn't behaving like a natural phenomenon. I kind of think there's a chance this might be perhaps an interstellar probe.
Oh, no.
In paraphrasing. Well, it's much longer than it is around.
Yeah.
And given if it was a comet, it should probably be tumbling because it's cigar shaped. It's about 1,200 to 3,000 feet long. And it's not. And it would break up if it was. So they're thinking maybe there was some guidance here. And it also accelerated away from the sun faster than it should have, just given its incoming velocity. So it's really interesting. We're talking about something that maxed out at about 196,000 miles per hour.
Wow.
So there was thought that the extra speed could be gas escaping from it, but the observations didn't seem to support that, neither do the mathematical models. So, and Avi Loeb is a smart guy. I worked with him a little bit when I was at Caltech. We collaborated on some stuff, and he's brilliant, and he just likes to think outside the box, and some people push back on that, but I think it's great because that's how we're going to perceive these things, right?
It's a comet without a tail.
Well, and that's the problem. It's more tempting to think it's an asteroid, but it kind of acts like a comet. But, comets do have cores that often have some rock inside the ice. So we don't know. But that's the beauty of it. The more questions you get, the more exciting it gets, right?
I love talking about space. We got a great guy to do it with every week. Rod Pyle, author Space 2.0. Look for his book on Amazon. Editor-in-chief of Ad Astra, space.nss.org. And he's flying aboard the Starship Enterprise through San Diego Harbor. Great to see you, Rod.
Thank you. Take care.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. See, I love science fiction, and I love the idea of being speculative. But the other side of my brain goes, Show
Well,
me.
some
the
doubt is very healthy.
Yeah.
But one of the things, when I was writing my book about curiosity, I got to spend a year up at JPL before I started working there, just hanging out in meetings.
So cool.
And the more stuff they discover, you discover one new thing and it brings up 10 new questions. And you see these 30-year-olds who are brilliant, you know. I mean, they made me feel like pond scum in terms of how intelligent they were. But they get so excited about all this new stuff, and then you get excited, and then you see it in the press a couple of months later.
Completely
so it's
misreported.
Yeah. Usually.
I love very high-end theoretical physics, which gets at the spooky side gets really weird, and I always find that fascinating. Not that I understand it, but I was going to say
I'm impressed that you understand it.
No. I did take though a course in college, a college seminar on the most high-end speculative physics for laymen. Didn't understand a word they said, but I loved it. I'm reading a wonderful science fiction trilogy. Do you know Peter F. Hamilton? Do you read any of his stuff?
No.
Are you a science fiction fan?
Oh, big time. Yeah, I read about 70 books a year.
Peter F. Hamilton. Get Fallen Dragon. That's the single volume, good starting point. But his newest, the Salvation trilogy, he just published the 3rd volume. And all of us are reading it, and just loving it. It's so good.
Did he knock it out of the park?
He's a brilliant writer because it's hard science, which I like, but he's also really good at characterizations and description. So he's a very good writer. And he also is kind of a fan of mysteries. So he wrote a whole series of sci-fi mysteries, the Peter Mandel series. And this new Salvation has a little bit of true crime mixed in with sci-fi. But you'll like it because the fundamental technology in many of his novels is a wormhole teleportation, which solves all these problems, right? And,
yes, it's very convenient.
It's very convenient, and it makes it very interesting, and it's really fun to read his stuff. Yeah, Peter F. Hamilton.
I recently put together an online event with some other folks, with Larry Niven and David Brin and a couple of other authors.
Love them.
And watching those guys go at it, because they're all old friends, right?
Right.
So they spend half the time insulting each other and the other half of the time talk about all this far out stuff. And one of them saying, there's no ETs. And the other one saying, are you kidding? So that was really, really great fun. I'll send you a link sometime.
Yeah. We used to have Jerry Parnell on a regular basis. He brought Larry once, I think, and that was a lot of fun. Yeah. Really, I'm a huge Ringworld fan. I think that's one of the best. I love the science of that. So cool.
It's really good stuff.
All right.
Great.
Have a great one. Thank you. Talk next week.
You too. Thank you
very
very
much.
much.
Year.
See you then.
See ya. Bye.
Happy New Year to you.
My friends, thank you for letting me be your geek. Beginning our 18th year as the tech guy. Thanks to Lady Laura, Professor Laura, our musical director, spinning the discs for us. Kim Schaffer, the phone angel, is getting you on the air for your appearance on national radio. Thanks mostly, though, to all of you, the people who call, but just the people who listen. They, too, serve. It is really a pleasure and honor to be your tech guy. All this time, 17 years now. Kind of amazing. We do have enough time to get a few more calls, a couple more calls anyway. And let's try Jose on the line from Modesto, our next caller. Hi, Jose.
Hey, hello, Leo. Hello. I'm going to make it as quick as possible.
Take your time. Take your time. What can I do for you?
Okay, I got a 4K TV and a Roku Ultra during the holidays.
Oh, good.
And I'm just curious about that. Seems that the Roku Ultra that I got seems to be kind of picky, because when I hook it up and when I bring up a 4K video and everything, it's a miss. It's a hit or miss that it brings up a error about saying something about the 4K being able to display with this DCP 2.2.
It's the cable. Yep.
Yeah.
You need to have, in order to do the 4K, an HDMI 2.1 cable. So a lot of the older, this seems so strange to me, but you have to upgrade your cable as well as your TV and your Roku. So make sure you get a cable, and they don't have to be expensive. You don't have to go buy gold-plated monster cables or anything like that. Go to monoprice.com or even Amazon, and just make sure you get the latest model of the HDMI cable. I think it is it 2.1? Boy, it's so funny because it seems odd that they would change the cable specifications, but what it has to do with is the bandwidth it's capable of. Monoprice has they call it a no logo, ultra high speed HDMI cable that supports all the way up to 8K, which means I'm sure it's HDMI 2.1A, for $12.49. So you don't need to spend a lot of money, but you need to have one that does HDMI 2.1. And in many cases, the old cable that you had lying around isn't.
Yes, I have some Monoprice cables that I bought from Monoprice.
Yeah.
But I think he's the twist about this. When the Roku came with HDMI cable.
Oh yeah, so if it came with a cable, that's got to be compliant.
Yes, exactly. But it still gives me that particular error. And he's the twist that I wanted to make on him. That when I use that same cable just to test out the stuff if it's something wrong with it, I use that same cable. I hook it up to my Microsoft Surface 5.
Yeah.
And that particular error doesn't come up. So I'm thinking is it possible there's something to do with the Roku Ultra?
So here's the question. I wonder if the error is coming from the Roku or the TV.
Well, my guess, what I can conclude is that it's maybe the Roku
because
Ultra.
When you use your Surface on the same TV, you never see that error.
Correct.
Yeah. It sounds like there might be a problem with the Roku Ultra. First thing I would do is reset it. Make sure you've got the latest firmware and you reset it. But if it still does that, and it doesn't do it with any other source, then I think you have narrowed it down. And it may well be it's just a bad unit. And you just bring it back and say, it's getting errors all the time. So you're watching just regular Roku channels. Which is it, like Netflix? What are you watching?
Yes,
Netflix, okay.
Prime Video, even YouTube,
Okay.
And I do the same thing, Prime Video, YouTube, anything on the Microsoft Surface.
And it works fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like you've got a problem with a Roku. That's hard for me to diagnose, but and I love my Roku Ultra, but this is a computer basically, and you might have gotten a bad one, or it could have a bad HDMI port or any number of things. Did you buy it from a store? Or did you buy it online or?
From Amazon.
Yeah, I would just return it and get it replaced.
Okay, cool. We'll. And what can I add another quick question here?
Yeah, but I am going to put, thanks to our chat room, a support article on the Roku site that talks about some troubleshooting you can do. I don't know if this applies. You're not seeing an HDCP error, are you? Is that the error message, HDCP?
Yes, that's it.
Oh, okay. That's the copy protection. Gosh, I hate copy protection. So I think this is probably something you should look at. It's a Roku support article that talks about this error, 230-317-588. Or you can, if you Googled Roku support, why is HDCP 2.2 important, that might give you some ideas for troubleshooting this thing. Okay, what was your other question? By the way, thanks, Joe, in the chat room. Yeah,
thanks for that tip. So anyways, the other quick question here is that, not that I mentioned about the Surface tablet or anything, I previously called about the Surface 5 not being up to the latest version of Windows 10.
Yeah.
Mine is still 19 old.
It hasn't updated yet? I just, I have a Surface Studio that just got the update a couple of days ago. So I just don't understand why Microsoft's so slow to update its own hardware, but don't force it. Just wait till it says go ahead. and it'll do it.
Okay, I sure will. I'm not going to force it. I'm not a seeker, and I don't want to be a seeker. And
yes, do not be a seeker. That's what Microsoft calls people who are constantly checking for updates. It's probably okay to seek on a Microsoft Surface device, but don't force it. There are ways to actually force the update. There's a reason for us, some reason. It's so strange to me that, and you're not alone, by the way. A lot of Surface owners are complaining about the same thing. Microsoft is slowest to update its own hardware, but there's some reason, and until they fix that, I would wait. You're not. You know what, Jose? You're not missing anything.
I know.
Consider yourself lucky, to be honest. Oh, it didn't update. Good news. Yeah, this is an interesting. There is quite a bit of information here on. In theory, you're connecting a Roku to a TV. I see no reason why HDCP is not going to be supported there, but that's the error you're getting. And you're using the cable that came with Roku. That's a puzzlement. I have to say, that's a puzzlement. It could just be, we're always slow to say, oh, it's broken, because it kind of works. It sounds like maybe there's something else going on. Maybe it's a little broken. Just a little bit of broken. Not a lot broken, just a little bit of broken. I hear the music that says, it's time to say goodbye. As we enter the 18th year of the Tech Guy Show. 17 years I've been doing this. A very deep thanks to Robin Bertolucci and her team at KFI, who first brought me over and made me the Tech Guy back in 2004. This has been a great 17 years. I look forward to our 18th, you and me together. Thanks to everybody who called. Thanks to everybody who listened. I got a feeling 21's going to be a good year. We'll see you next week. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a safe Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWiT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.